Welcome back to the Relationships Made Simple for Men podcast with me, Bryce Bauer. Today, I'm going to be talking about what to do when you hear the phrase, I don't feel safe. There is nothing that can drive a man to madness more than hearing the phrase, I don't feel safe, and you not knowing what to do. It can be crazy making. I know what it's like to hear this. And I know you know what it's like to hear this. I think this has come up with every single man that I've ever worked with who's married. We can really struggle to understand what this type of safety means, how to think about it, and then what to actually do. That's the question I get. What do I do? There happens to be some irony in the statement, what do I do? Because a lot of this has nothing to do with doing. So I will unpack all of that. The first thing I want to cover is what emotional safety is not. Listen, I know you guys, I know you take a bullet for your wives. You probably work your ass off at your jobs, and you do really care about your wives' emotional safety, because when our partners feel emotionally safe, that's when they're fun and silly and open and they want to be near us. That's all the good stuff. So many men want that back. The thing that they had at the beginning of the relationship, they want to go back to a time when it felt easy. The good news is that it can feel easy again if you really put your heart and soul into this. If you half-ass it, what's probably going to happen is you'll put in some work, be unhappy with the results, and then feel frustrated on the other side. And I see a lot of men do this. They underestimate how much time and attention this will actually take, or how deep they will need to go within themselves to be able to do it. For instance, I have a few clients that have made huge strides in this department in a matter of a few months. They're meeting with me, they're listening to podcasts, they're reading books, they're following through with the homework, and they're reporting that they're getting a lot of positive feedback from their wives. Their wife is saying things like, you're finally getting it. Thank you. I can see the change in you. And they're starting to enjoy their relationship again. That can happen. Of course, every relationship is different. So if you've been asleep for a decade or more, it may take longer. It's possible your wife might be checked out of the relationship. That's a much more complex problem. But for most good men who've been trying their best and at least have a decent relationship, this podcast will be really helpful. So, like I do in a lot of my podcasts, I want to break it down simply. I'm going to talk about 3 different scenarios and what you'll need to do specifically. The first is the situation in which you hear the words, or it could be that you're getting the message that she doesn't feel emotionally safe with you. One trap that men get caught in this moment is that they want to go into proving themselves. What do you mean you don't feel emotionally safe? I'm talking calmly. I understand what you're saying. I'm doing XYZ to work on it. Here's the bad news, guys. That could all be true, and it doesn't fucking matter. Not in that moment. What you're essentially saying to her is that you shouldn't feel the way that you feel because you're trying to change her emotions, fix her emotions. But emotions don't like that. Emotions need space so that they can be felt, embodied, and moved through. They want understanding, and that's what she wants. Even if it seems so irrational to you, that doesn't matter. I'm not saying that logic and rationality doesn't matter, but in those moments, you have to do something different. This is why I don't get caught in this trap anymore. If Jenny says that she's feeling 80% safe, she likes to use numbers like that, add more color to her emotional experience. I don't push back on that. I say things like, thanks for letting me know where you're at. What do you think the last 20% is about? If she knows and she can tell me, then that's where I move my attention. Usually it's something about my tone and body language, which is subtle, but I realize I have to soften or become more gentle. I can do that. If she says, I don't know, which is probably a response that you're used to getting, the response should be something like, okay, thanks for letting me know. I want to stay in this with you so that we can figure it out. Something like that. That way it moves the problem away from her and onto this thing that both of us don't always understand. That can be so much of the challenge with emotional safety, is that our partners don't always know what it is. They just know that something doesn't feel right. And if we go looking somewhere else, maybe it's your trauma, maybe it's your cycle, maybe it's menopause, maybe you're just really sensitive. That tends to backfire because it sends the message that we're not willing to look at what might be happening within us and between each other. That other stuff might be true too, but we want to keep the focus on the us. What's this thing that's happening in our connection that's feeling a bit off? The mindset that you want to have when your partner isn't feeling emotionally safe involves curiosity, not just questions, but a vibe of feeling deeply interested, patience, meaning we're not just trying to fix it or get rid of it, and then willingness. Our partners can feel our willingness. If you like the idea of being strong, then you can imagine that there's this emotional weight that your wife is carrying, and you come in to help hold it with her. Lay it on me. Tell me everything. Even if it's about me, I can handle it. That's the type of mindset that you want to shoot for. Curious, patient, and willing. This will segue into the second scenario I want to talk about, which is the past. Sometimes I hear men talk about the past in this strange way. It's like every moment that has already happened should be let go of. I don't quite understand what people are saying when they say this, because often what's happening is that the past has moved into the present. That is the present experience. A couple examples might be when you're in a disagreement and you say something like, well, now what do you want to do? We've been arguing for an hour. Now what do you want to do? As if that whole hour that you were arguing didn't have so much information to unpack. You're here because of the last hour. You can't just pretend it didn't happen and move on. Maybe you guys do that in your own life. That doesn't work in relationship. Or another example might be when something gets brought up from weeks, months, years ago, and we just don't want to look at it. The more you resist talking about something that's happened in the past, the less resolved it's going to feel. That's how our emotional bodies work. I've even heard a theory on trauma work, which says that it's not so much the event that traumatizes us, it's what happened afterwards. Were we able to talk about it immediately, feel seen, understood? Were we able to process it? Or if it was continually shut away, hidden, ignored, rejected, that's what really creates the bigger issues within us. I'm not saying that the past might not always have an impact, but the thing that softens it is openness, love. So if your wife brings up something from the past, no matter how small it is, and you reject it, dismiss it, avoid it, in whatever way you do that, it's going to become a thing. I'm not saying that your wife might not have a part in whatever that thing is that happened. I'm just trying to help you clean up your side of the street and make moves that work. If you've made big mistakes in your past, I'd suggest being willing to own it for life. That's the mindset. That's a part of my history. That is a thing that hurt you. And I am willing to ride the wave when it comes up for you. That's the mindset. I know it might not be perfect, but sometimes we have to create a more extreme ideal to keep us on a better track. And I can tell you something that you probably already know if you're really honest with yourself, and that is that you're scared. When she brings up the past, you get scared. Maybe she's going to leave me. Maybe we'll never figure out how to get through this, and I'm going to be miserable. Maybe my family will break apart over this. You are scared. It's worth taking this into account because this is the reason why we do all those weird things when the past gets brought up. I get to see this all the time more objectively because I work with couples. If they come in, there's a hot topic, we're trying to work through it. There might be anger or sadness, but underneath that, there's fear. And just to let you know what's happening on your wife's side, I have a pretty good guess. If she feels your resistance to talking about her experience, her body is probably saying, I don't know if I'll ever feel safe with this guy. I might overwhelm him and he's going to leave me. Or if this doesn't get better, I might have to make the difficult decision to leave. She's probably having a really similar experience to you at the level of the nervous system. But you can help her with that. You can do and say things and behave in ways that help her feel more safe. You might get tired of hearing the word safe. I know that it can get weaponized at times, but this thing that we're talking about is real, and we're always improving or taking away from it. That's the nature of the beast. Every little jab, sarcastic comment, dismissal can make that safety plummet. And every time you drop in to listen, to make eye contact, soften your body language, that has a good chance of improving it. Which brings me to my third scenario, which is very much about doing something. You have to invest in this practice. Helping someone feel loved and cared for and safe is a skill. You probably did not learn much about it directly, just being a person in the world. You have to put in the time to learn. I mean, really learn. Learn about your history, your strategies, your hurts, your stories. You should be able to speak to all of that in a comprehensive way if you want your partner to feel safe. It's like learning a new language. If she's talking about all of those things on her side and her emotions, and you don't know what the fuck those mean, you're not going to have a great conversation. You can maybe be a good listener and reflect, but the conversation is going to be one-sided. You have to go learn that language. And as a couple, you will develop your own language on how you talk about things. This is part of breaking those negative patterns that take so many couples down. You're both saying the same things essentially over and over, and it doesn't go anywhere. That's why Jenny and I will model conversations with couples in sessions, because a lot of times they have no idea what it would sound like to be emotionally honest and vulnerable in whatever context they're giving us. The good news is that it's not that complicated at its core. I'm thinking about a few couples we've worked with in the past couple weeks, and one of the themes has been the man trying to offer solutions to their wife's emotional issues. So if she hasn't been feeling great physically, he may try to diagnose her or tell her just not to worry about it so much. And then she feels missed because she doesn't know how to communicate that she's actually feeling insecure about the burden she might be putting on him. So that deeper stuff gets missed. And what we've been able to help these couples do on both sides is to look for what might be happening at a deeper level. So if she brings something to him about not feeling well, he may say something like, "Thanks for letting me know. Tell me more about how you're feeling emotionally." And then that can give her an opportunity to check in to see that she's feeling insecure. And then he can tend to that. He can reassure her, tell her that he feels compassion for her. He really hopes that they can figure out what's going on with her, and that he's open to adjusting their life or their plans in a way that will work for both of them. So a conversation as simple as that can go much more smooth. It can maintain connection. And of course, best of all, we're talking about what's more true. She's going to feel more safe. He's going to feel more confident in his abilities to help her feel safe. And that will feel good for both of them. That's just one example. For you to get better at this, it's not just about doing it in the moments that are difficult. It's about building it into your daily practice, looking for places in your life where you feel scared or insecure. You want to be doing your best to lead the emotional conversation. Your wife is like a 1,000,000 piece puzzle that you spend some time on every day. And just because you think two pieces fit together one day doesn't mean it might change the next. You could be wrong. And the last thing I'll say on this whole emotional safety thing is don't give up. Even if this is a struggle for the rest of your life, you can still find meaning and purpose in it. This is a journey of waking up. And when I look out at the world, I see a lot of men that are asleep. They're sleepwalking through a life of to-dos and self-focused stories and not even realizing they're doing it. They're emotionally constipated, irritable, lost, confused, and that's not what the world needs. The world needs people like you that are listening to podcasts like this, trying to force their eyes open to wake up to the beauty of being in relationship with another human being. It's going to stretch you. It's going to hurt. It may force you to be present in ways you never thought possible, but it's worth it. So when your wife comes to you and she says, I'm not feeling emotionally safe, or you can tell that she doesn't feel emotionally safe, buckle up and try this stuff. Try listening deeper. Try sharing more vulnerably. Try reflecting back what you're hearing her say so that you can understand, even if you disagree. And for all the good stuff that's easy, don't forget to be present. Don't get back on your phone and distract yourself. We can miss out on so many beautiful moments because we simply failed to look for them. That's all I have for today. I hope this was uplifting, motivational, useful. I just announced this year's men's retreat, which will be September 25th to 28th in St. George, Utah. I've got a beautiful luxury house on the beach of this state's largest pool. It's really like an oasis in the desert. And we're going to be doing groups, getting outside. A lot of men say that it's been a life-changing experience for them. So if you want more info, just email me at bryce@brycebauer.com. You're not going to find much info elsewhere. I keep this pretty exclusive, max 12 guys. So if you want to attend, just email me. We can set up a call, figure out if it's a good fit. That's all I have for today, and I'll see you next week.